باب التسمي بقاضي القضاء ونحوه. To be named قاضي القضاء, judge of judges, and the like. And this is something, of course, that would negate the perfection in the tawheed, not in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the oneness of lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When people would say that the qadi, the judge or the leader or whatever there is, people would exalt him in such a way that it's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala such an exaltation and praise, because these judges are nothing but creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even forbidding us from having this extreme praise of others. Mention the hadith في الصحيح عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن أخنع اسم عند الله رجل تسمى ملك الأملاك لا مالك إلا الله. The hadith of Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said the most perfidious or awful or meanest name to Allah is that of a man calling himself Malik al-Amlak, which means the king of kings. In fact, there is no king but Allah. Quoted by Bukhari. A person can be a king, yes, with regarding to, again, human beings to one another. But the real essence of ownership and kingdom and so on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of all things, and He is the king of all subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? In the real meaning of it. So what is worse is when a person would say that he's the king of kings. That means what? What is left for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is definitely would belittle what a person is supposed to exalt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that of course negates the perfection of the tawheed, and it shows that it's not permissible as it's mentioned. And we would see even in this the perfection of the deen of al-Islam that cut all the leads for anything that would undermine the tawheed in the present and in the future, because this is the last revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that might lead people to have their hearts depend on other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would find it not permissible. You would find it worse even than major sins. And this is the perfection of the deen of al-Islam, and one of which, even for someone to say that, even if he means or people mean with regarding to people to one another, still it's not permissible to say that. Why? Because it's something that has to be only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or when they say Shahin Shah, for example, or something like this, as it's mentioned in the next hadith. Which says here, Sufyan said, another example is the title of Shahin Shah. In another version, أغيظ رجل على الله يوم القيامة وأخبته, meaning Allah will be most enraged on the day of judgment, and the most wicked will be a man who has given himself the title of King of Kings. And the word أخنع means lowest and meanest, أوضع, right? The lowest person. He praised himself that he elevated himself so high. As a punishment for that person, he will be the lowest and the meanest and so on. And that's why those who have arrogance in the day of judgment, as the Prophet ﷺ said, they will be like ants in the day of judgment, people stepping on them. As a result of their actions, the reward or the punishment is given from the same sort of deed that people used to do. They're arrogant and they're trying to elevate themselves, they will be put in the lowest level as a result of their arrogance when it comes to the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So this is again not permissible to be named Qadi al-Quda, and this is present it was present in some places where they say that so and so is Qadi al-Quda, not just the Qadi. Qadi is the judge. No, Qadi al-Quda, the judge of all judges. Even if they don't mean that this is something to undermine the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's still haram by the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. I'm not sure in other languages what they use. Probably use something like this: the King of Kings, the whatever, Shahin Shah, no, Shahin Shah, Shahin Shah. These are not permissible by the evidences that we heard, and that would bring the exaltation in the hearts of the believers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be humble, for human beings to be humble, right? But the king and this and that, where people have arrogance, this is not permissible. They should humble themselves, and there is nothing better than the word, for example, the Khalifa, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the believers, right? This has the humbleness and the goodness in it, as it was at the time of the companions radiallahu anhu.